start in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
I live by the old code of second floor.
Why look for a scientific explanation when you can put blind trust in an invisible Sky Daddy?
Sky Daddy all the way.
Go watch your crappy sitcom! Turn up full volume, why don't you?
Aubrey, weird, I can't even get through my couch.
But it's just like, all I was doing is asking her questions.
Yeah.
Like, well, why do you believe this? And she was like, well, I believe it because of this. I'm like, but you just said this. Like, you're contradicting yourself. Like, why do you believe it? And you get down, a lot of people, you get down to you ask like maybe 2 or 3 calibrated questions, you get down to it and you realize that they don't really know why they believe what they believe. And then that means they don't really know why they're living the way they're living. And it shocks people. And she was just like, she was a little shocked by that. But anyway, he just texted me and said, you got in my head about the whole entrepreneur thing. Because I like pushed him and I was like, and then I was like, Cami, what do you do? And she was like, oh, I'm a project manager at this wellness place. And she was like describing what she did, which was like, sales, admin, project management, team management. And I was like, sounds like you do everything and are super underpaid. And Peyton was like, oh, yeah. And I'm like, it sounds like you guys are the perfect couple to be an entrepreneur, wellness, fitness. And he was like, I hate that you're making so much sense. And Cami was like, I told you, and I was like, and he's like, I hate that you're making so much sense right now. But I've been on a tear. I've been on a war path lately.
Dude, I think that's good though. I always would advocate for like the best way that you can love someone is telling them what they need to hear, not what they want to hear. Because most of the time those two things are in contradiction with each other.
Yeah.
And the whole, like the whole grace thing like has its place.
For sure.
But at the same point, like I was always that way with my friends in college. Like because I had people not tell me what I needed to hear in high school because they were telling me what I wanted to hear, and it didn't benefit me.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And so I've kind of committed to like I'm always going to tell someone what they need to hear, not what they want to hear. And I had a few sit down conversations where like, 1 or 2 of the boys in college cried during those conversations, and like, but we prayed for each other and like hugged it out afterwards, and like it was healthy. But like I think people are so afraid of conflict nowadays. I'm
gonna bring this up only because of what you said earlier, like tonight. And I think that you'll appreciate it. And it's a kind of a funny story. Have you ever heard the phrase or like a story called like, who's the a-hole? Okay, I hadn't either. And one of my customers that I've become like really good friends with, he used to own a business and he sold his business and made like oogles of money. And
Nice.
We're doing defense now, and he's like kind of sharing with me these like things that have helped him in business and how they would grow their team and stuff, and it's awesome, right? He's like, have I ever told you the story of the who's the a-hole story? I was like, no. And so he's like, yeah. He's like, you got to tell it in the first person. And so he's like, I was driving on in Orange Beach, California, and I pulled up to this light, right, and there's like these girls in this car, college age, pretty, I was thinking of that scene from, blonde, the blonde chicks, the black guys that dress up as blonde chicks.
White girls?
White chicks. Thank you. White chicks. Like that scene, like they're in the car type like that. And so they get to this light and the light turns green as they all decide to like get out of the car and start dancing just because like, so then an older guy, I look over and an older guy, I see him like see them and right, he's upset, lays on his horn, like get back in your car, the light's green. The girls turn around, see who's honking, and they flip them off, right? Because they're upset that he honked. Who's the a-hole in that situation?
Everyone.
But no, actually, like there's an answer. Is it the guy who flipped? Is it the guy who honked, or is it the girls who got out of the car when the light turned green and was holding everyone up?
I'd for sure go more the girls.
It's 100% the girls. Because the dude would never have needed to honk if they would just do what society said you should do, which was to go at a green light. Like, they're being inconsiderate.
Sure.
They're being like in this situation, they're being a-holes, right?
For sure.
So
is it a 2-lane road though?
no, it's not.
1-lane road. Okay.
It's a 1-lane road, and so the idea.
you know the
Well,
details.
this ties into what you said, because like when someone's giving you feedback, right, and you get upset about that feedback, like if I'm saying to someone on my team like, hey, you know, the way you've been late has really held up the rest of our team, da 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 da, and then, you know, that person starts yelling at me and saying, I can't believe you're coming at me like this right now. And I just, you know, if I said it in a normal tone, totally like, hey, just want to hold you accountable. Who's the a-hole in that situation? It's the person that put me in the situation to have to keep them accountable, and who's now angry at me for some reason for their actions that is now hurting my team. Right? And so it's like in that situation with you being direct, your friends may not appreciate it in the moment, but who's really
It's the most loving thing that you can do. For them.
exactly.
I was listening to a podcast the other day, and it was talking about like the concept was based off of King David in the Bible, but basically like, you know, who do you invite to sit at the king's table? Talking about there were, and I'm blanking on the name of one of the guys, but it's like everyone needs a Nathan, a Jonathan, and then there was it was like Joaz, but that's not the right name. But basically it was like, you know, Nathan called David on his crap. Jonathan, they titled him as like your friend who's like the lover of your soul, like who's like closer than a brother, like you need that kind of a friend. And then you also need the third one, which is like, you know, the dude who's encouraging you to go into battle, who's basically looking into the future, like the visionary of like, let's conquer this and conquer that. And it's easiest to find those people who are ready to like spur you on and go to war, but it's the hardest to find the people like Nathan and like Jonathan who are intimately close with you and who are also willing to call you on your crap.
Dang, bro.
But when you can find those kind of people, you need to hold on to them very closely.
Is it Joab, his commander in
Maybe
chief?
I know it was a
I think it was his
That sounds
commander in
right.
chief. Is it Joab though? Oh, that's gonna bother me, dude. I think it was Joab.
We need one of those like on the
Look
Rogan
it up.
podcast where you just like yell
Yeah,
at the
look it
editor
up.
like, hey, look
Yeah.
up who that guy was. And then
Honestly,
they, just
like,
goes across the
Commander in
room.
chief.
Yeah, for his army. Gosh, I feel like I'm slightly off that name, honestly.
I
But
know,
yeah,
I'm
I've
missing
thought
it
about
slightly, too.
having like a little, like honestly having ChatGPT and just being able to be like, wait, what is this again?
Yeah.
You know, because it's just handy. Some
When I
people
drive, I
would
ask-
hate that because they prefer like the all human experience. But it's like there's times where I'm talking that I want to, number one, I want to fact check myself, and number
Yeah,
two,
it's Joab,
Joab.
the son of David's sister, Zebariah. That's a weird name. Never seen that one.
So he
Oh,
was
yeah.
he was the guy that when David first became king, when he conquered Jerusalem, he said the first man to storm. Ooh, okay, this is actually an interesting point on leadership. He said the first man to storm the walls will be the commander in chief. And Joab was the one who was first. Now, what's interesting to me, and I want to hear your thoughts about this, is that Joab became the commander in chief of the whole army, right? Which is crazy. And he then proceeded, like the rest of David's life, to cause David trouble. If you remember, like he killed Asaph, his son Asaph. Asaph, I think that's his name.
Asa.
Yeah, he killed him. He also he did some other like political stuff too, and like killed another guy.
Wait, Absalom?
Absalom. Yeah, he killed
Because
Absalom.
he had the luscious locks.
Yep.
Yeah.
He killed Absalom. There was another person that he messed with too. And it just caused David a lot of trouble. And so I've always read that story and been like, it's so fascinating to me that David chose he chose such a weird thing as like this blanket test for that person to become the commander in chief of his army. And it didn't really turn out that great for him. Like, yes, they won a lot of battles, but David was already a warrior himself, battle tested. And I think like in leadership, a lot of times when you have this blanket script of like, well, this person needs to be this. And you bring them on your team and you realize like, oh, well, I also need to be this, and that. But I didn't realize that. Because it's like, yeah, was Joab courageous? 100%. Could he also have just been the first guy on the front lines and could run the fastest? Yeah. He could have just been the fastest runner. So it's like, That's fast. That's something that just hit me
Yeah.
on picking
But I
people in
think
leadership.
going back to like the King's Table thing, I think the idea that they were talking about behind like the character of Joab is you need someone who's like willing to jump in first. And you need that
for
guy
sure.
who's going to be like, just do it. Like,
For
let's
sure.
just go do it. Let's not think about it. Like, let's do it.
Yeah.
But I think when you go, go back to Proverbs and you read about how like, the king who has many counselors is the one who will succeed and set him up for success. And like, back to the King's Table, I think the whole purpose of that is you need people with differing opinions, and you need some people who are going to be calculated, and you need some people who are going to just be courageous and jump in. And both of those have their place. But the point is that you want to gather all the perspectives maybe before making a decision.
That's
And
really well said.
that's where from a team perspective, I think when you can diversify. But I think that that's where like people run into a lot of issues today is they're not coachable and they don't like when someone has a differing opinion than them. And I think with our generation in particular, people have a hard time being friends with people who have different opinions than them.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's a huge issue.
Huge.
And it didn't used to be that way because even going back to Greek society, you had a lot of people who, the whole point was like, let's debate, let's figure it out. Like differing opinions are good
Yeah.
and let's try to work through it together.
Right.
Colleges used to be that way. They would teach you how to think, not what to think.
Exactly.
And that shifted over the years.
Yeah.
And so I think that whoever you invite to your King's Table, it's good to have people who have differing perspectives and different methodologies and different approaches.
Yeah, I think it's a matter of taking offense. I think a lot of people, when
Yes.
they hear a different opinion, they take offense to it.
Mhm.
And like, that's a decision. Like, you don't have to be offended
Mhm.
because someone has a different opinion from you. So then that, like, when I always see it as like, almost like a game, like offense versus defense. If I take offense from you, it's like I'm putting you on a different team. And it's like, now you're my enemy. And so it's like, it's just having like the security and knowing that like, oh, we can have a debate, we can have a discussion, even like an intense argument sometimes, without like me taking offense or you taking offense, and still being friends at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Like,
And you
but
should be
people
able
are
to do
afraid
that.
of that.
You should be able to do that, but it's become
Yeah.
very challenging.
yes, yeah.
Well, to anyone listening right now, please welcome our guest Caleb. We usually do the intro a little sooner, but we jumped in. We couldn't wait. Caleb, you're a new friend of mine. I met you through a young adults group in the area, and you're married for how long?
2 years.
2 years now. Wow. You got your associate's degree in marriage. And you are like business insurance broker, business insurance agent? Kind
Close
of?
enough.
Close enough. Okay.
Close enough.
Consultant, something like that. You've helped me actually understand a lot, which has been really cool. And you have a dog named Molly.
right.
Did I miss anything?
I don't think so.
You've
I
traveled-
had a plant, but it died last week.
You had a plant?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
What kind?
You've traveled pretty extensively too.
It
We'll
was, a
get
spider,
into
it
that.
was a spider plant.
No, wait, was it really?
We had some debates on how to water it, and then we left for a few days, and then it was dead when we came back.
Taylor always
so-
overwaters plants, and I give her. She's not. Well, I'm believing that she's gonna turn a new page, but actually, I will say this plant right here, she's kept alive for a long time. There's a
Good
few
looking plant.
the plants that are low maintenance she doesn't struggle with, but the other ones she does.
I read online that if the soil completely dries out for a spider plant, it's pretty hard to bring it back. And I think I was given the plant when the soil was completely dry.
Yeah, sure. It
So-
wasn't your fault at all.
Yes,
Take no
exactly. I'm
accountability.
removing responsibility for myself for that plant.
But you made a really good point. I think that our generation could really learn from other people's perspectives.
Yes.
ever
Within the
watch your-
context of relationship, I think people are way too quick to just spout off their opinions, and I think it's easier to do that when you're friends with someone
Yeah, I agree.
or
You
care
ever
about them
watch,
as a person first.
You ever watch those Surrounded videos? It's like
Mm-mm.
it's like they'll have like one person who, like Charlie Kirk did it, or
Okay.
I don't know if you know Patrick Bet-David, or I don't know any other like big
Jordan
conservative.
Peterson.
Jordan Peterson, yeah, he did it. Dude, his was rough. But
They set him up for that.
I heard about that. Yeah, I heard about that.
They set him up for that pretty bad.
Yeah, but it's like they take this person who's like a well-known influencer or like has like a big voice in like a particular area, like capitalism or like name like any topic, right?
Sure. Anything
It's-
controversial.
Yeah, exactly. And they'll sit them down around like 20 college students, and they each like, it's almost like a musical chairs kind of thing where they have to, like, the first person to get to the table with the dude gets to debate them,
Okay.
and it's just like it's one of the most wild things like you will watch. Like the I mean, some of the like opinions you will hear, but then also just like how people just go like 0 to 100. Like as soon as they hear like a perspective that like is contrary to theirs, and in a way that like they don't really know how to refute, it's just like they just like
Attack.
they become like a crazy person, dude. It's insane.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Well, I think a lot of it stems back to like they're trying to be understood rather than to understand. You know?
Yes.
Kind of
yes,
that kind of
yeah,
like that
yeah.
like be interested, not interesting kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dude,
Like-
that's a slept on superpower.
I like that.
Dude, for sure.
I
I'm
like
not
that.
yeah, like
Say,
I try to work on that every day, but I have a long way to go.
I prefer to be interesting.
Well, it's not that. It's just like I don't know, like you know, and I'm in this camp. Like a lot of people just default to talking about themselves.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, dude, I have no problem letting someone else talk about themselves. I really don't. That's like a very natural and easy thing for me to do. I'll be interested in someone for hours, and I just let them talk, and they walk away being like, "Yeah, that Joseph guy, he's a great guy." I didn't say a thing about myself.
Well, exactly. I think it's hard though, because like, you know, not everyone. I don't know. Like I'm in sales and I have to do cold calls and stuff like that. You know, like not everyone will want to talk about themselves right
true.
off the bat, and
No,
that's
it's
just like,
true.
you know, going back to the relationship. Like you got to get to know them first. But then when you can get someone to let loose, like they'll love you if they just talk about themselves the whole time.
Yes,
But you got to get them there
Dude.
sometimes.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. It's true. I think sometimes it just takes you like actually showing interest.
Yes.
You know, like asking them a question more than just like a small talk. You know, like how's your day? You know?
Yes.
And when they sometimes I feel like it's surprising to people because I don't know, especially like just like an everyday conversation, because a lot of people like you just don't always get that.
Yeah.
So like all of a sudden when someone's like genuinely interested in like your thoughts, your ideas on a subject, and like, you know,
It's like a
like,
it's like a
your
drink of-
habits. Yeah, it's
drink
like
a cold.
oh my
fresh
gosh, I need to like
water.
tell someone about myself. Yeah.
It's so nice.
So where are we starting?
Well, okay. Well, so typically what we do is we'll just have someone, because we run this as like the audience doesn't know who you are,
Sure.
right?
Sure.
There's a lot of things we don't know about you either. So take us back to where you grew up and kind of give us that rundown. And then we'll move on into like high school, where you went to college, right? Because that was a big deal.
Sure.
And then I'd like to hear about some of the trips you took, how you met Allie, and then how you got here. So
Okay.
that's going to be like kind of the runway.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Well, so I grew up in Minnesota. Lived there for pretty much my whole life before college. I think we moved like 8 times in Minnesota, but we were on the same lake the whole time. So the way I understand the story, like I had a great grandma who had a house on the lake, and when she passed away, I think maybe the family like let my dad buy that house for like a, you know, pretty reasonable deal. And my dad had always wanted a lake house, and so Minnesota has 10,000 lakes, so there's lots of opportunity there. But yeah, so we moved roughly 8 different times, and then also my dad and my neighbor wanted side-by-side houses, and so my dad and my neighbor are best friends. Took them 10 years, but eventually they like found 2 lots.
No.
So the neighbor was on lot A, and he'd always really liked the house next door. So when the house next door went for sale, our neighbor bought that one. We bought that lot, and then my parent just built a house on that lot.
That's
What?
And so yeah, so like for the last roughly 15 years or so, we've lived side by side with our neighbor.
Gosh, dude,
who's
I wish
like-
there was more of that, man.
I know. Well, my college friends and I were trying to build like a boys' compound in Austin, basically, of like,
Dude, I'm telling you, the compound idea is like spreading like a wildfire, but
Dude.
no one understands how big it is right now. It's a huge.
I'm
huge
so down.
thing.
Now I can't get Allie, my wife, to commit to like being in the same structure as like another married couple. I think it would work as long as everyone had like
Has
their own wing
space.
and their own space. She doesn't like that
Right.
idea, and so kind of where we've landed is like, you know, let's try to buy a piece of land, put a cul-de-sac on it, and then we'll build everyone's houses around that cul-de-sac, and that way we can all have our own space but live communally.
It's weird.
It's biblical. Like the believers always
lot
live together.
I agree. Yeah.
of conversations about this. You don't understand.
That's
and
like
I
my
think-
mom's dream, dude.
Yeah, well, okay, it's funny because
Yeah.
like everyone's always like,
I mean, mine too.
Everyone's always like the glory days of college, and we hung out with people all the time. It's like that's how life should be like, but like everyone thinks it ends for some reason after college. And
Dude,
I don't
yeah,
really
so
see why it has to end, and I don't really see why that has to be a fantasy. I just don't think it's as hard as people make it.
Told you.
know?
I agree, dude. Yeah, dude, we've talked about this like a ton. Like that has always been so frustrating to me.
Bring
dude.
all
like,
y'all's boys and let's build a compound together.
Bro.
I'm
We
saying,
can-
dude.
I mean, yeah.
I'm saying. What do you think?
Yeah,
Steve?
it's great. Okay. So grew up in Minnesota. I was a big soccer player growing up. So our whole family
Really?
was
I
soccer
did not
was our
see that
life for a
coming.
long, long time.
Dang.
I did not see
Um,
that coming.
I was also homeschooled first.
I would have thought tennis for sure.
I played tennis for like a
You
season
have the
in high
arms
school.
for it, like the wingspan. You have long limbs.
I was told swimming should have been my sport.
yeah, you do look like a swimmer.
I was told like a swimmer build. I don't know what that means, but I played tennis.
Your aerodynamic.
I
Aqua dynamic.
yeah, I played tennis for like a season in high school.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then I'm trying to think what else. I was homeschooled first through 8th grade, technically.
That-
Second through 8th
dang,
grade.
dude.
That
Second through 8th
explains
grade.
why.
That's what my wife says all the time. She's like, you couldn't tell. But for us, like homeschooling was a blast because it taught us really good time management, but because we were also on the lake, like if we got our school done at noon, we would go out and my mom would pull us tubing the rest of the day.
That's-
And there were a
Yeah,
few other
dude,
homeschooled
that's
families on the lakes.
so
Like
sick.
we would all just go tube and surf and wakeboard together.
Gosh,
And it was great.
shoot.
It was incredible. So I'm trying to think what else would be relevant for the early years. Faith was always very central to our family. My parents were super involved in Young Life, like even before we were married.
Okay.
So they're still like their friend group is still primarily made up of people that they met through Young Life in their early 20s when they were leading campaigner groups and stuff like that. The house that my parents built was basically built for hosting Young Life.
Oh, dude,
Uh,
talk about that. Cause yeah, I remember you telling me a little bit about how they built it. Which
Yeah.
is so sick to me.
Yeah, so like we used to, and it's funny because like I was never actually really involved in Young Life. I was always super plugged in with youth group at our church. But growing up, I mean, until we were at least 10, we would host campaigners at our house, which is like, high school, college kids for small group, pretty much every other week. And then we would have Young Life they did like 2 big parties where like kind of the whole area would come together. There would be 150 people over at our house or so.
Holy crap.
And they do it in the winter too. So they'd play. Do you know what broom ball is? You ever heard of that?
No.
Okay, so it's basically like you have hockey,
Mm-hmm.
but hockey's hard if you can't skate. Broom ball's like the equalizer. So you're on an ice rink, but you're wearing boots, and you have basically a stick, and it's like a small little ball. And you have to try to hit it into the net, but you're on the ice, and so you can't really run, and everyone's sliding around.
Dude, that sounds like a blast.
Oh, it's so fun! It's so fun.
That does sound like a
You know,
blast.
you
Gosh,
put
dude.
like 10 high school dudes on that court, and it
Yeah.
gets
Oh
pretty.
my gosh.
It gets pretty rowdy. So yeah, so we always grew up hosting people all the time. I feel like our front door was always open. One of the things I really admire about my mom now is that like she's like a freezer queen. So because we were hosting so much, like I could at any point have like 10 guys randomly show up and not have it planned, and my mom would like have food for all of them, and like it was insane.
What?
Because she just always had stuff that she could like pull out and like feed people.
Wow.
She's such a good host.
That's impressive. I admire that because I feel like I'm not like the greatest natural host ever, and so I have to really work at that. So
Hosting's
people
a
that
gift.
can,
Hosting's a
so
gift.
people can like, and like when you walk into a house and the person is just able to make you feel so like comfortable and safe, like right off the bat, you're like, oh, they've got it.
Yeah.
They've got it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I suppose the other thing, like I grew up playing a lot of guitar. So I'd always wanted to learn guitar. My mom forced me to take 2 years of piano against my will before I was allowed to learn guitar. So as soon as my 2 years of
Really?
piano was up, I dropped piano and then started playing guitar. So that was pretty central, like all throughout growing up in high school.
Cody.
Did a lot of that at church, probably twice a week honestly, like through college, played almost twice a week.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I started on guitar.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Zach
yeah.
plays guitar.
Yeah, and then I
Pretty
mean,
good.
yeah. Actually, well, I went to a small private school growing up,
Okay.
so like, like music was a requirement from
Okay.
like kindergarten through 8th grade. So I started on like a recorder in like
Okay,
kindergarten,
yep.
and then I went to trumpet in 5th grade, and then I went to the French horn, which that was actually super fun. I miss the French horn sometimes, and then I went to guitar.
So can you read music?
I can, yeah,
I can't.
yeah.
I can't read music.
I'm not like I can like play off sound too pretty well. So like that's like now because I don't like ever read sheet music. That's like how I mostly play. But
Sure.
if I have to, I can read
Yeah.
like a sheet music. Maybe not like as quickly now, but
Sure.
I can.
I
yeah.
wish I would have. I wish I would have kept that skill.
Wait, so you learned piano?
I did. So
But-
like, I used to be able to. But
Okay,
when I
okay,
quit
yeah.
piano, I never read music again.
Okay, yeah.
So I
yeah,
can't.
yeah.
I can't read music anymore.
Yeah. I see the benefit though looking back now on learning piano first because
Yes.
just the way that the keys are laid out and like
Mm-hmm.
you see the notes, that's like so helpful.
Yeah. We just bought a
yeah.
piano, and I'm trying to reteach myself
Okay, yeah,
piano.
yeah.
And I'm like, dang, if I would have just kept up with this all along.
It's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I played drums in high school and in the youth group. That was my thing.
Can you still play?
I was in the marching band, and so I did like snare drum, bass drum, marching snare drum, marching bass drum, and then we would go like into concert season. You percussionists, like you play all those like little instruments and
Okay.
stuff like that.
So like, can you play a full kit?
I mean,
You could. I bet you could.
I could.
Bro,
Am
let's
I
start,
good?
Let's start a band.
Heck,
Okay, hear me out.
heck no.
Georgetown Square, you got those little bands that just like mess around on the corner. Let's go do that one night. It'd be so fun.
You don't
It'd
understand
be so fun.
how quickly all my years of drumming left me.
But maybe you don't understand how quickly they'd come back.
I would say the most fun instrument was hands down the marching snare drum. It's so much fun, dude. Like the way that the drum is built and the way you do like rim shots on it, it's just like it's so satisfying, bro. Like the way you can do the
Yeah, I was
He
in
seems
marching
kind, he
bands a
seems
little
kind of
bit.
passionate about the drums. I think.
no, it's like honestly, marching band was one of those things that like I just kind of got. I don't know. I liked it, but it progressively got worse every year. So that sucks, but yeah, no, I think I don't know. I feel like I look back and I see how much I was involved in and how much my parents sacrificed, like Boy Scouts and all this stuff, and I was like, I see now how much effort it takes to make a human decent, and especially like a male to like keep a male involved and coachable and teach him how to do all these different things. There's a lot of value in that, and you see people who don't do any of that. There's a big difference typically.
Yeah.
Just because it gets ingrained early on, man. So
Yeah, for sure. Well, yeah, so homeschool 2nd through 8th grade, and then 8th grade we traveled for the whole year, went to a private school for high school, did dual credit at a community college for my senior year, and then was
Nice.
at Baylor for 4 years. Got married before senior year,
nice.
and then
Same.
did senior year married, and here we are in Georgetown.
Dang,
Where
so
did you
how
travel?
get to
Quick timeline.
Georgetown?
Where did you? Yeah. Go
Oh,
ahead.
sorry.
Which one are we starting with?
Go ahead with this.
So the company I work for, when they interview, you get to make a list of like places you would want to go and places you wouldn't want to go, and so Austin was our number one.
Okay.
My wife is from Houston. I said I wouldn't go to Houston.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
And
No offense
she
to anyone out
didn't
there.
want to go to Minnesota. And
Okay,
so
yeah.
we ended up
Austin
in
was
Austin.
you split the difference.
Austin, yes, basically. Part of it depends on like where there's an opening, and so there ended up being an opening in Austin, which was our first spot. So here we
Whoa,
are.
thank God.
I
Dang,
know it's awesome.
that's crazy.
Yeah, it's been a good fit.
Okay, so where'd you travel your 8th grade
Like the whole list.
year? Yes.
Okay, so we
Your 8th grade year. Is that what you
yeah,
said?
so we were out of the country for like a year. So there were 6 people in our family.
Dad's in finance.
We he quit. So he
When?
asked for a sabbatical. He had his dream job.
When did he
and
quit?
Before we traveled. So
Oh.
my parents had this idea of like traveling for a year for a while, and he asked his company if they would give him a sabbatical for a year, and they said no, so he quit, and then we traveled for a year.
What a boss. Dude.
Uh,
what a
Dude, for
freaking
real.
boss.
Yeah. And I feel like you don't appreciate that until you have to like start actually paying bills, and then you're like, oh shoot, like that's actually a big deal. He just like quit.
Dude, yeah, that's insane.
Yeah.
What a
So
baller.
we rented our house for a year to
Oh,
help cover.
wow, that's cool.
So we rented our house to help cover some of the cost of it and whatnot, and then we had to backpack a person and basically took off for a year. And I think we had like 3 months of the trip planned out when we left, and then we kind of planned the rest on the road.
That's
Dude,
freaking
that's
sick.
so sick.
Yeah. So that was, I was in 8th grade, and my youngest sister, when we left, I think she was 3. So
Crap.
yeah. So
What?
she turned 4 like a month in.
How old is she now?
So she's 10 years younger than me. So she just turned 14. Yeah. So we did Guatemala, Ecuador, Peru, New Zealand, Australia, Cambodia, Thailand, Vietnam, South Africa, Swaziland, and then Egypt, Jordan, Israel, Morocco, Spain, France, Italy, England.
Dude, y'all hit
And then-
everything, bro. Holy crap.
We hit a lot of things, but like, I don't know, you look back at it, there's still so many things that you've never
I
seen.
mean, yeah.
It's like, it makes the world feel...
Don't even give me that,
It-
dude.
Okay, no, but like it makes the world simultaneously feel very big and very small.
Hmm.
I can see that, yeah.
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 Like all at the same time. Like it's like now, like, I still keep in touch with some people like kind of all over the place. But
That's
at the
cool.
same point, there's still like, it opens your eyes like, wow, there's so much.
Yeah. Gosh, bro.
What did that do for you as an 8th grader, your perspective of things?
It was really weird coming back and jumping into private Christian high school after like
Dude, yeah, especially after being homeschooled, right?
sounds
Yeah.
Yeah.
Miserable.
Yeah,
dude.
so I really never, I had friends in high school that were from my high school, but most of my close friends were never from high school.
Hmm.
All my friends were kind of from church and from youth group, and they were public school kids. My experience in high school was that the public school kids were way more real than the private school kids were.
Hmm.
And that being said, coming back after seeing kind of the real world, if you will, for a year, that resonated with me a little more.
Hmm.
Because one thing, a lot of people are like, oh, you traveled for a year, like it'd be cool to go on a year-long vacation. Like, it really wasn't that. It was like I had like 5 shirts for a year, and like we would stay in Airbnbs, and like we stayed in hostels as a family of 6 of us, and
Gosh, dude,
like
that's so
there
sick,
were
bro.
some parts of it that were comparable to a vacation for sure,
Hmm.
but like the majority of it was more just doing life in other places.
Yeah,
Uh,
figuring it out.
yeah, and we met up with a lot of missionaries on the road too, because part of the idea was like it's actually a lot of work for missionaries to have to host teams from the States, and it's a blessing, but it is they have to put a lot of prep and work into that.
Yeah.
And so our idea was kind of like, rather than you guys host us, like let us come and we'll take your kids for a few days and go do something fun with them, and
That's
let you
cool.
guys get away and kind of get a
Mm.
break. And so that was a little more of our posture as we traveled.
That's really cool. It seems like your family's very intentional
Yeah.
Hmm.
with their time.
How many siblings? Oh, you said you have. It's a
So I
family of
have-
6, right?
Yeah. So I have 2 younger brothers. We're all 2 years apart, and then my youngest sister,
Nice.
who just turned 14.
Dude.
So yeah, it's been funny.
Family
'cause
of 6 traveling across the world like that for a whole year. That's just impressive, dude. If nothing else, gosh.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. But it's funny because now all my I'm out of the house. My brothers are both in school, and my dad's at home with my mom and my sister, and so he's been texting us just how different it is when like she has 10 girls over as opposed to like us having 10 guys over. He was like, the other day he was texting us. He's like, man, like we went out on the boat and no one wanted to surf or wakeboard. Like they took selfies for 2 hours.
Poor dude, poor guy, man.
So
He's
he's
suffering.
I mean he's on the boat, so he's fine, but like he's had to get used to that a little bit,
Smothered in estrogen.
which is funny.
And so how long have you been in Austin now?
So we moved here in June. So we moved here at the
Okay.
beginning of June. We found out that territory was opening up like mid-May, and basically
Oh, so when y'all met, you
Wait.
had just moved here. pretty
Yeah.
much. Okay.
yeah,
I didn't know that.
yeah. No, we'd been here for like a week.
Seriously?
Yeah,
I don't know. That got lost in translation for me.
yeah, because we moved here. We moved in right at the beginning of June. Because we basically found out that we were accepting this territory for my work and then moved in like 2 or 3 weeks. So as soon as we found out, I flew down the next week and had a week to kind of figure out housing stuff. We put in, I toured like 12 places and there were 2 of them that we liked to rent. It's a tough market to buy things right now. And so
just a little.
yeah, dude, I don't know how anyone our age like affords anything.
I don't either, bro.
It's crazy.
I don't either. Don't get us started.
But yeah, so we figured out the whole housing thing in like a week and a half and then basically moved in right after that. And then that was when we went to that young adults thing when we met, because we didn't really know anyone. And so we were just trying to meet people. And so we checked out.
It was just like the church in the area, or?
Yeah, we tried a couple different churches.
Okay.
And that one had a young adults night, and we're kind of narrowing in on what was a good fit from a lot of different angles. And so, let's just go and see how it is. And that was when we met Tom and Erica, and y'all and Peyton and Cammie, kind of the whole squad.
Dang.
Yeah. Which feels way longer than a few months ago.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing.
Yeah.
I was gonna say the same thing.
Yeah.
What was your favorite place that you guys visited?
I get asked this question a lot. I mean, they're all favorites for different reasons. New Zealand, though, is pretty hard to beat.
Dude,
I've always wanted to go.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to go to Switzerland.
New Zealand is incredible. So we spent like 3 weeks in an RV in New Zealand and basically just like drove the island.
That's like where they filmed a lot of the Lord of the Rings, right?
Yeah. So we did. So there's a hike called the Tongariro Crossing. That's where they filmed. I think it's where they filmed Mordor and that kind of stuff. And it's like, it's in like the top 10 one-day hikes in the world on most lists or whatever. Dude. So we got to do that. It was sweet. And go to Hobbiton where they have like all the little hobbits houses in the hills and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's like the Shire.
Yeah,
kind of right.
Yeah.
That's so crazy.
And there's this really cool in New Zealand. There's this website called HelpX where it's basically you do like a work stay. So you get free room and board in exchange for helping on like a farm or something like that.
Dude,
I've heard of that.
So we stayed on a sheep farm with this family for like, I don't know, 5 days or whatever. And, basically stayed there for free and we helped them with their sheep. And so they just had all like the little baby sheep. And so basically what we had to do one day was drive a Polaris and like get them into a big group. And then you grab all the baby ones and they actually cut the tails off for like sanitary reasons and give them a shot. And so basically you got to go through like 300 of them. And so, you're just grabbing a sheep, kind of sweeping its legs up. Someone else snips the tail off and then you toss it and it like hops because its tail just got cut off. And then you just repeat and you're just kind of covered in blood at the end of the day. And yeah, I'd never done anything like that before. So
what was that like? Like y'all would like work all day and then
you work. I mean, we put in like 4 hours of work a day and then you have the rest of the day.
Okay. Just go and hang out and do whatever.
Yeah, driving to town, go see what there is to see.
Yeah,
that kind of thing. So it was a lot of fun. My brother, New Zealand has a deer problem. Like there's too many deer, and so my brother went to New Zealand a few months ago and study abroad, and he did something like that. And the family basically just like gave him a rifle and was like, "Go shoot a deer and bring it back so we can eat for the next month." Like that was basically his work that he had to go do.
Dude, study abroad in New Zealand.
I know.
Crazy.
The one regret I would say from my college experience is not having an opportunity to go study abroad. Dude.
So that was where our Peru trip came in, because I'd looked at study abroad, but it was super expensive, and I didn't really want to pay Baylor prices for study abroad. And so I was like, I feel like I could do this cheaper and better by myself. And so Allie and I weren't married at the time, but I basically got a group of like 5 of us and we went to Peru for a month and lived in the jungle. And some of our friends who were missionaries down there who we met when we traveled in 8th grade, we hung out with them for a month. And so
very fun.
So we stayed at a YWAM base that like wasn't active anymore, but it was like, I think it cost all of us like maybe $10 a day to stay there or something like that. And so we were in Peru for a month and we spent less than $2,000 a person, flights, food, and lodging included.
Insane.
So I felt accomplished. I was kind of like, take that.
That's super accomplished. Tell Zach about your Amazon friend.
Oh, this dude's crazy. I love this guy. So we met him when we were down there. His family basically sailed a houseboat. They grew up in Wisconsin. His grandparents. No, his parents or his grandparents. And felt like the Lord was calling them to move to Peru. And so they sailed a houseboat from Wisconsin down the Mississippi River out into like the Gulf and then across the Panama Canal and then back up the Amazon River to Peru. And this was in like the 80s. This was in the 80s. Everyone thought they were insane. And so
Because they are.
and so they've been in Peru since like the 80s and he grew up there basically. And
They sailed in a houseboat from
Yeah.
Wisconsin to the Gulf, basically.
well, like Wisconsin into the Gulf,
Into the
across
Gulf,
the Panama
To
Canal,
the Panama, yeah.
and then back up to Peru.
Bro, I can't even like
Yeah, unreal,
fathom that.
unreal. And so they've been there since the 80s, and so we got to spend some time with them. And they do crazy stuff. So like at one point, this is my craziest friend. He sends me this wild things all the time. But he at one point was like, "Do y'all want to go like do some hunting in the Amazon?" So of course, we're like yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And then he kind of started sharing some of the backstory with us afterwards. And he's like, "All right, so like if we go that deep into the jungle, like you're gonna get shot at because there's a lot of like drug runners and gold dredgers and stuff like that apparently on the river and pirates and crap like
Yeah.
that." And so, he's like, "I actually need to know, like, if we do this, like, we get shot at, like, I need you to have my back. Like, you're gonna have to shoot back. And, like, if something happens to one of us, like, we'll kind of defend each other.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
that's how it'll be." And so we were gonna do it, but then his dad kind of stepped in and because we were trying to leave, like, tomorrow.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Y'all didn't have enough time to plan this. Like, it's not safe enough without planning." And so we didn't end up doing it. But I was telling Joseph about it because I was like, maybe we could go back and do it another time. But I think now that we have a baby on the way, may have to postpone that a little bit.
What would y'all have been
Bring the baby
hunting?
with us.
Oh, I mean, you can shoot anything up there.
Oh, okay. I mean, yeah.
I mean, like when we were there, we shot and ate a monkey.
Holy crap.
I mean, snakes, crocodiles.
How does
anything
snake
like that.
taste?
I've actually never had snake.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, I've had the chance to. I don't think I've ever actually had snake.
Hmm.
I've heard it's really bony,
Mhm.
but I've never actually had snake.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What was your least favorite place that you went?
Oh.
Haven't had that one asked to you a lot. Maybe.
Egypt was a little tough when we went, only because like, you got a lot of street vendors trying to sell you things because you're, obviously not from there.
Yeah.
When you go to different places. Egypt was different because if someone tried to sell you something and you said no, they would follow you around and keep trying for like 2 hours. And so at most places, you could kind of walk past them at some point and like they'd stay where they were and you would keep going to wherever you're trying to go.
Yeah.
Egypt, you'd kind of get swarmed and they'd follow you and you couldn't really get rid of them. Which was like,
That's annoying.
That's tough.
it was a little annoying, yeah. So I wouldn't say Egypt was my least favorite. Like from a history standpoint, Egypt was awesome.
Oh yeah.
But as far
of
as
course.
like, people who are a little abrasive, like that one maybe comes to mind first.
Good to know. Good
Hmm.
to know.
Yeah.
So do you think like after visiting all those places, like do you think you will like stay in the States like long term, or like would you like to go live somewhere else?
I'm
Or-
honestly, I have no idea. I'm very open to whatever. I love my job right now.
Yeah, okay.
I also feel like one of the when I said yes to it, because I very clearly feel like the Lord called me into it. I also feel like one of the things that He said was like, you can't white knuckle like the stability of it or whatever. Like if I call you into it, I can also call you out of it.
Yeah.
So what that means or when that means, I have no idea.
Yeah.
But I would love to live overseas at some point. I think it'd be cool. So
I've always like
we'll see.
over the past like year or so, I saw this. It was a while ago. I saw this video of like it was like these two guys that moved to Thailand, and for like 2 years they just trained Muay Thai and
Yeah.
like lived among the people. And I was like, dude, that would be the sickest thing ever.
Yeah.
bro. Like I would kill to do that.
No, for sure. And like it's weird because in the States, people don't travel long term, but like in Europe and the rest of the world, it's like pretty normal to go travel for a year and just kind of live out of a backpack and go see the world. Like we would meet people all the time who were backpacking it up and just kind of going wherever.
Wow.
And that was a pretty normal thing. But Americans, I feel like, don't do that often.
Like you would meet people over there that were like not from America backpacking.
Yeah.
And like, okay.
They were just
okay,
seeing the
yeah.
world for a year before they figured out what they wanted to do with their life.
Dang, that's crazy.
Yeah. Because it doesn't, I don't know, like
I-
it doesn't have to be expensive. I don't know what like the budget of our trip was or whatnot, but I was told that because America's so expensive by default, like if you travel reasonably and you rent out your house or whatever while you're over there, like it's relatively comparable to what a year of like living in America would cost, even
Yeah.
with travel costs. I don't know how accurate that is, but that's kind of how it was portrayed to me.
Yeah, I instead of taking a year to go to Europe, before I figured out my life, I was like, I'm gonna figure out my life, and then go take a trip to Europe. That's my
Yeah.
plan.
I mean, you could do that too.
It's my plan
Yeah.
Will you ever figure out your life though? That's the question.
to an extent.
Yeah. I don't know if you ever get there, but you can make progress.
Yeah, 1000%. Yeah.
Where would you go in Europe?
I really love World War II history, so
Okay.
I'd have to hit up like Normandy Beach,
Okay.
like the Bastogne Forest. Easy there, Sadie. You know, I had to hit like all the cliche, like, you know, touristy things. Definitely would hit up like Switzerland and Austria for sure.
Switzerland is awesome.
New Zealand, obviously. And yeah, I prefer like those, you know, France, Spain, Italy, Rome, all the things.
Yeah.
That's what I would like to do first. And then just kind of expand from there.
Yeah.
You know,
I really want to do Norway, like Norway and Sweden.
really.
My youngest brother is going to study abroad in Norway next summer. And so I'm trying to figure out how we can get on the family trip.
Dude, I was supposed to go to Norway. Did you know that?
No, I didn't.
At SAGU. It was
Oh, for your
when I
M10
was in
trip?
M10. So, you know SAGU?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, they have like a thing called M10 or like Mission 10. And so
Okay.
like it kind of like it's a cool program. They like allow an opportunity for like the students to lead a small team for like a small mission trip basically. And so I got convinced to do it and ended up falling through because like our group was just absolutely terrible. Like no one could get any like paperwork in or like whatever. So it fell through. And like our dude, this is all coming back. So we were supposed to go to Norway and Denmark.
Okay.
It was like a 2-part thing. But like after like a month or two, because like they treat us as the like if you're leading an M10 group, like you are in direct contact with like the missionaries and everything,
Yeah.
right? So like I'm like emailing this missionary, they're just like not responding at all. And so after like 2 or 3 months in, they changed it to Tokyo. And so we were just like, dude, I think it's over. Like no one has any like paperwork, no one's ready. So yeah, it kind of
Missionary
sucked. But
response
it would
rate
have
is
been
tough
sick.
sometimes.
Huh?
Missionary response rate is tough sometimes,
I mean, yeah, I
which
get
is
it.
totally fair.
Yeah,
Totally
I
fair.
agree. Yeah,
Yeah.
totally fair.
We had to,
Yeah.
after planning our Peru trip, I was like, I never want to plan another trip ever again. Like, success, glad I did it.
Yeah.
Someone else is in charge next time. So much work.
Chill. You were
Yeah.
just up here.
Yeah, I feel like any kind of like traveling like that, like you got to do a lot of planning, and it is exhausting. I
Or
do-
you just go with the flow. But not everyone's
Yeah,
comfortable. Not everyone's
yeah.
comfortable with just going with the
right,
flow.
especially if you have a group of people.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
If you have a group, you need to be a little planned out.
yeah.
I will say I'm very proud of our friend group because last year and this year, let me say this, before like 4 or 5 years ago, we would always like talk about going on trips. And the only major trip that we put together was to Zach's parents' house for spring 2020,
Yeah,
which was like a heck of a way to kick off COVID.
yeah. That's while we were still in college.
And then
too.
then we went back to Florida the last 2 weeks ago.
Yeah,
And that was like 5.5 years later, which is crazy.
Yeah.
But
You got to get it on the calendar and lock it down. Otherwise, it never happens.
so like nothing did happen until last year. Sadie, last year she's throwing her booty in the freaking thing. We did a cruise trip with me, Zach, Nathan, and Ryan, 2 of our other friends, which was that was a huge. That's been on the bucket list for forever.
dude, such
That's-
a good trip.
And it
That's
was
so fun.
amazing,
Such a good
dude.
trip.
And it was like less than $500.
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we did. Zach and I went to see his brother Jared in Washington. We went to
Lake Kolchak.
yes, and Spokane, Washington.
Yeah.
Hiked to Lake Kolchak. Did a podcast on Lake at Kolchak. Part of the clip you'll see it in the you'll see it in the intro. It's us like laying with the landscape in the background. It's my favorite one. Anyway,
It's like a little tiny lake way up on the top of a mountain.
yeah,
It's like a
it's like a
4-hour.
glacier lake.
It's a 4-hour hike to the top, and like,
That's so cool.
and we started the hike at midnight. So
As
just
you
like-
should.
Yeah, it was.
Night
It was
Night
such a cool
hikes go
experience.
hard.
Dude. It did go hard. It was so nice.
It was nice and it was intense at the same time.
Yeah,
Yeah, my college small group used to do a lot of night hikes.
Hmm.
it was fun, dude, and like.
I'm never doing that again without knee braces.
Yeah, that hike was pretty. It was a climb, dude. That's for sure. And we had like all the camera gear, like carrying it up.
Yeah, that's a lot of work.
Yeah, but so worth it, dude.
I wish Texas
So
had more
worth it.
mountains. That's like my one gripe with
Oh,
Texas.
dude, same.
Yeah,
Zach, where
And
else
to
do
be
we
fair,
go?
like we have more in Austin, like just more scenery and nature than most of Texas does.
yeah, it's true.
But it's not the same, and I desperately miss mountains.
I think that's like
I agree.
long term. I want to live somewhere in the mountains.
Same.
Like I grew up in Florida. I love Florida. Like super flat though,
Mhm.
and Texas is like largely the same. A lot of flat land. But we've always had family up in like Tennessee or like other places up north, and like every time I go, I'm just like, I freaking love it here, dude. The mountains, like the weather,
Yeah.
it's so nice.
What other trip did we take? I feel like I'm missing one.
Last year?
Yeah, I guess. No, I guess it was. I guess I'm just looping in the Florida trip to that too.
Yeah, maybe.
Right? Or did we do one more thing?
I don't know.
Can't remember. I think those were the three big ones. Was the
You,
cruise?
you went to California, for a small little trip.
I did. That was more of a business thing though.
But yeah.
That's true. I did. That's what it was. I think that's what I was thinking of.
Big business trip guy.
I'm a big. I feel like trips like that, because it was like to go meet this guy and learn about like a coffee shop. He had like 3 coffee shops and a roastery, and he was like basically taking the day and showed me the whole like behind the scenes of how he runs all the businesses. Super fascinating, by the way, and a very nice thing to do because I did not know who he was. He was referred to me by a guy in my BNI group, and I
Were
literally
you
flew
thinking
out
about
there.
like starting a coffee shop, or how'd you end up in a coffee shop?
Yeah. I had a dream to like open up like a wellness cafe with the second floor being a podcast studio
Okay.
and a hangout, like a speakeasy hangout space.
Okay.
And that's where we were going to have the podcast. That's where we were going to have the podcast. And so earlier last year, I got a lead for this guy that had these coffee shops in California and then had a roastery. And one of my friends was like, "Hey, if you fly out there, like he'll take a day and show you around." And I was like, I had hired this coach, and she was like really working me through of like how to hold things in intention and really like direct your efforts towards something and step out in faith. And I was like, I had some credit card points, and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna do it. So I just booked a flight. It was like a Tuesday and a Wednesday. And I don't know what my deal is with like 48-hour business trips. They're not fun. I mean, they're fun, but they're not ideal.
Business trips are way overrated.
What do you mean?
Well, just like, I don't know, in general, I feel like, I don't know, in college, you're like, oh yeah, business trips are sick. And then when I had to travel for work, most of the time it wasn't fun.
Well, my business trips are fun.
Okay, well, you know what? Good for you.
Because it's not with a company,
Sure. Yeah.
right? Like yours is a corporate business trip.
Yeah. Which I don't have
What
to
is
do
that?
anymore, but when
What
I
is
was in
that
training.
like?
Yeah. What is
Well,
that like?
When I was, so like, part of the way that our training program works is like, if there's an open territory, you would service it for experience and training, which is really good experience. But, you're flying out there for a week by yourself and you don't know anyone. And so like you work during the day, which is great. But like,
Yeah.
you don't really have anyone to hang out with, and you can't really, it's hard to meet people because you're only there for a few days.
Yeah.
And especially, I feel like if you were like young and single, I could see it being fun. But like when you're married, it's just not as.
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah, a little more stress on the home.
No, but I mean, like, I kind of contradicted myself there. It's fun for me because it's spontaneous, and
Sure.
it's so like I have no idea what could happen from this, and I feel like it's just like an energy explosion into like I really don't know what I'm doing, but every time I go on one of these trips, it always ends up being like head and shoulders what I could have imagined.
Yeah.
And even though that's the thing is that I think people get hung up on the whole like, well, there's no direct outcome. It's like, yeah, but you're building relationships. It's all intrinsic stuff. Like you're building relationships. You're telling yourself that you do things, like you do crazy things, right? Like you're showing that by your actions, you believe that you can handle God giving you something that you don't know what it is yet. And you're willing to just go learn. And that's like going to London too. That was later that year. And then it was with one of those people it was with the person that invited me to go there that we actually had started that wellness cafe. And she had bought a house in Round Rock, like downtown Round Rock, to restore it and turn it into that. And then I ended up leaving that in March of this year.
Okay.
Yeah. And that sort of sent me down a spiral for about 3 months. It's actually like right when I first met you that I was like just barely starting to come out of it
Okay.
a little bit. I don't know if you picked up on it, but
I probably didn't know you well enough at that point to
it was
recognize that you
probably a
were
heck of
coming
a
out of a
first
spiral
impression.
the first time I met you.
Yeah. Yeah. I know it was really bad. Like I couldn't like, I got to the point where I could barely like talk because I was just so, like I felt very hopeless because I had like put everything I had into this thing. And I felt like it was like the pinnacle. I felt like I had so many signs from God that this was what I was supposed to do. And so that bothered me because I'm like, well, then do I not really know? I thought I knew what God was telling me to do, but maybe I don't. And there was just a lot that happened. It shook me up. It just shook me up. And it broke whatever paradigm I had been operating under for 25 years. Stopped working. And I had to like basically reevaluate. Have you heard the song Quarter Life Crisis by Judah and the Lion?
I know Judah and the Lion. I'm
Okay,
not
they have a
familiar with
song
that
called
off the top
Quarter
of my
Life
head.
Crisis that
Okay.
you should listen to. It's really good. But that's what happened. I had a quarter life crisis. And it's been crazy what's happened since then, but it took me about 3 months. I call it like my 3 months of darkness. And then it took me about another month or so to like May, June, July. No, yeah, 3 months. And then July, I just came to Zach and Nathan and Benji, and I was like, hey guys, like, I don't really know if God acts in my life or if he will, but I want to give that a chance. I don't really have any other cards left to play because it felt like all my giftings had just left. Like I couldn't lead, couldn't cast vision, couldn't speak, couldn't like barely think really. And I just told him, I was like, I have literally this much faith, like less than a mustard seed, it felt like. And I said, I'm going to go on a fast, like a lifestyle fast, because I just need to build up like better habits. And I also want to see if God will act in my life, because I don't think he despises like a contrite or humble heart. And I said, you guys are thinking about this move, maybe go on this fast with me, because I also like need your accountability. And they were like, yeah, for sure. And so we all went on a fast for a month. And dude, sure enough, every week, like things broke off me. Crazy stuff just started to happen that like, I have a longtime friend who I grew up down the street from. And he called me one day and just earlier this year and just told me that he's like, I'm giving my life back to Christ. Like I'm so done with this and like da-da-da-da. And he had like gone to church his whole life and then kind of lived the way he wanted to. So he had a whole faith crisis. That was wild. And then he called me again later on this year, and was like, I don't know what to do with my life. You know, I could stay here in my hometown and start this business or start a career, or I could go back to Texas Tech and like, but I don't have the money to do it. Da, da, da. And then the first week of the fast, he calls me. He's like, dude, because we prayed about it at the end of the phone call, and I was like, God, I just pray you open a door to whichever way you're supposed to go. Like, just simple stuff, dude. Simple stuff. And he calls me. He's like, you won't believe. He texts me. He's like, you won't believe it, but I just got a full ride back to Texas Tech.
That's wild.
And I was like, it was like the first day of my fast. And then I kept like a logbook each thing that happened that I felt was sort of like out of the blue or just, you know, different. And it just kept getting longer and longer and longer. And each week I got like 5-10% better. And then it got to the point where I was like, I think I'm back at 100%. And then a crazy thing started happening where like just relationships that I had, like in my friend group, started healing and changing. Relationships in my family, like my extended family, have been really bad for a while. And I started really like intentionally praying about that. Those started changing. People that were big manipulators, toxic people, started having repentant hearts. And it just felt like God started restoring. And my business, man, just God took it to another level. I cut out all these things that were holding me back. I fired crews. Like I told people how I really felt. You know, I just went on a tear.
Cleaning house.
Literally, like a literal warpath. And come to find out, well, I felt like I went over that 100%. And I just kept telling people, like, I feel like God's like doubled my vitality. Like I'm not the same, whatever level I was before, I'm like, I feel like I'm doubling it right now. Getting up and like excited for the day.
Flourishing.
Yeah, truly.
I've been stuck on that word recently.
Truly. And then I was like, you know what? Like I want to dial in my health more. And so I get 2 blood tests a year as a diabetic, just because my doctor, you need to as a diabetic. But I met this nutritionist lady and she was like, I want to see your blood work before I
Oh, you were telling me about that.
recommend you supplements.
Yeah.
Say it. Stop it. How much of that did I tell you?
Well, you told me you walked in there and there was this like crazy bodybuilder lady.
Olympic coach.
And Olympic coach. And basically like she wouldn't give you stuff until you showed her your results.
Yeah.
And then she's like, you need to take this for this
Did I
reason.
tell you
And
I got
gave
the
you-
results back?
I don't know if I heard that part.
Okay, so last year, did you hear about our whole mold situation in our previous apartment? Okay, so like we had mold in our blood basically, and we had to do this regimen to get that out. And part of that was before we started that regimen, I got a blood test. My testosterone was 554. My doctor at the time was like, yeah, that's normal. Well, I did start doing some research and it's not. Like it's normal now because for the last 30 years, men's testosterone has been going down 1% a year. So like in 1985, the normal testosterone level was between 800 to 1,000. And I'd never really done any research on testosterone. I never got my testosterone tested, nothing. It's my first time. And so I go get another test. I go get tested what she recommended. Part of that's testosterone. And I go to like the lab I've been going to, and then I also do this thing called Rhythm, which is like a monthly blood test that gets you like, it's a home kit basically. Because I wanted to compare. I got the Rhythm blood test back. My testosterone was 1,200.
Dang.
It literally doubled. The other lab test, it was 1,324. And so I was like, oh, that's why I feel like my vitality is doubled, because my testosterone's doubled. But I can't explain how that happened naturally. Like I've done this thing before where like I get off of my habits, like, not eating as great or not working out as much or whatever. And then I get back on the habits and I feel better, but I don't feel like this, And I've taken the same kind of supplements before. I didn't change much of the things at all that I did beforehand, but the only thing that changed was my spiritual, like this the spiritual aspect of me I felt like changed the most. And so to me, I just attribute it to like I believe that God like supernaturally kind of like resurrected my soul almost. And I think a physical manifestation of that was like a testosterone level increasing. That's my theory, because I just prefer to give glory to God, because I don't think, I mean,
I can get on board with that.
Taylor's dad and mom and stepdad are both nurses. She told him about what happened. They were like, that's not normal. So anyway, there's also, one more thing. I keep telling the story over and over again, but there's a study done by the American College of Neuropsychopharmacology. Yeah. They did a study where they took two groups.
You say that and immediately like your credibility and intelligence level is just like, you know
way
what I
up,
mean?
dude. Way up.
Bro, so this
way
study by
up,
the American
bro.
College
10,
of
20%.
Neuropharmacology.
Two groups of males, one placebo, the other one got 150 milligrams of testosterone. They got TRT. And they put them in they call it a pro-social environment, meaning that it's like, you know, as if, you know, you're on the stage and there's an audience judging you or something like that, right? Like in some senses, you know, maybe it's a debate, maybe it's a contest of some sort, right? Something where like there's a social atmosphere and you feel, you know, either judged or loved or whatever, right? There's pressure from the audience. They found that the group with the placebo had a really, really, really hard time sticking to like their truth or what they believed in. And they caved to the audience's pressure. They caved to social pressure. But what they found with the group that had a little bit of extra testosterone is that group did not care at all what the audience thought. And they had absolutely no problem sticking to and explaining what they knew was true. And I sent that to Taylor and I was like, this describes exactly how I feel, because I used to be held back by a lot of fear of like what I thought people thought of me, what I thought of me, and all these little hidden fears I didn't even know existed until they all came out. And now I don't care about any of that. And I'm like, why is that? It's because my testosterone literally doubled. And there's scientific proof that alone makes you difficult to control. So I find that fascinating for a lot of reasons that I won't get into right now. But yeah.
Interesting.
That is pretty interesting, dude.
I can't say I've ever heard that before.
Me neither. And it's like nothing, I don't feel like it's anything that I did. Like, yes, did I cut out junk food and did I start working out more? Yes. And do those things raise testosterone? Absolutely. But not like that.
Well, I'm thinking through just like from a spiritual perspective. Like,
Yeah.
you know, a lot of people like, I don't know, the churchy language to use would be like, you've got your mountaintops and your valleys, but like, you know, a lot of times people like really find the Lord in the valleys, and it's like, it'd be interesting if somehow that's, and obviously not to like over spiritualize everything, but like it'd be interesting if that's tied to testosterone levels somehow. And like,
I don't see why not.
you know, like if you did a survey of people who feel like they're at a low point, like spiritually, would their testosterone levels?
I bet
Dude, that would be fascinating.
that.
That would
You know
be
what I mean?
fascinating.
I believe that if I had gotten my blood tested like during those 3 months of darkness, it would have been at like 300. I believe that. Because like I felt absolutely no drive. Like things that I used to find just normal, like waking up to a normal alarm, like 7 o'clock, whatever, like, or doing anything that I would have considered normal, all of a sudden felt like I was looking up at a mountaintop, and it was that thing that used to be easy. Like crazy stuff like that, bro. Crazy. And then now it's like the things that I used to think were difficult are easy. They're not scary anymore.
You like reached enlightenment over here.
I did, bro. Yes. I literally feel born again. It's like a really good way to put it.
Praise God. Praise God.
So,
I've never studied up much on testosterone.
the more you know.
Yeah.
My younger brother always says, he'll say like, testosterone is what gives the guy the thought of, you know what? I'm gonna go climb that mountain. Like,
You know what?
like, that's pretty accurate.
Yeah, he's probably not wrong.
Yeah.
I was well, okay, I love the book Wild at
That's
Heart.
Jared.
John Eldridge, Wild at Heart. Y'all read that book?
Amazing book.
So good, bro.
I haven't read it,
That
but-
book made me want to climb the mountain.
It's a really good book.
Yeah. But I've been thinking a lot about lately because I was listening this podcast I was listening to the other day too was talking about this. Like historically, all throughout written history, there's been a defining moment of like when a male goes from being a boy to a man.
Yeah.
Like culturally, there's always been
Yes.
like there's been a defined line, and that doesn't exist anymore.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
You know?
I think we've talked about
And
this.
so-
Maybe at
We
some
have
point.
definitely talked
Yeah.
about it. Yeah.
Yeah, like now, you know, I mean, it's interesting. Like, I wonder if testosterone plays into that at all. But you know, you got a whole a whole generation that's never had like a defining manhood moment.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
And so now you have, you know, I mean, there's a lot of like grown up boys out there who
There's a
have
lot
never
of-
actually bridged that gap because they've never had to.
Yeah.
Exactly.
What do you think would be like a good way to do that nowadays?
Throw them out in the wilderness.
Like-
dude.
Well, they were this podcast I was listening to talk about like the Maasai warriors, and you know, like you're a man when you go kill like a predator and basically come back like wearing its skin.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
you know,
right,
it's like
right.
it was like there were these boys who were like 15 and came back with like a lion skin draped around their back, and it's like
Yeah.
you know what, like all right,
So,
he's
and
a
then
man.
once they
He's
get
a man
back,
at that point.
The craziest part, though, which is that's a two-part problem in my opinion, because when that happened and they came back to the tribe, every single person in the tribe treated that boy like he was the man.
Yeah.
That's the problem, because even if you figure out something like that, like a rite of passage for males, the problem is that the rest of society doesn't agree on what makes a man. So anywhere they go, they're not going to be fully treated that way.
Sure. Well, we have so many watered down definitions of everything now, but like
Yeah.
you know, for the scope of the conversation, if you operate based on like, I don't know, traditional biblical manhood, please backlash in the comments if you have an issue with that. You know, I don't know. I mean, like for me growing up, my dad did something like that, and basically this is kind of funny, but like we had a cabin in Wisconsin, and it didn't have like cell service, Wi-Fi, electricity, running water. Like you pumped water out of like a hand well kind of thing. And we went up one time, and I didn't know he was doing this, but basically like he sat me in a chair in the middle of the cabin and was like, all right, like I'm going to leave for 20 minutes. Like, here's this letter. Basically like after 20 minutes, you can open it and read it. And the letter is just like walk down the path to the first deer stand. Well, like there was no moon out that night. So it was like pitch black. And I was terrified, but like my neighbor, the one who lives next door to us, was like the dude in the deer stand. And so basically he created this thing of like 5 dudes who were involved in my life. All basically gave me like a word of wisdom or advice about like, you know, generosity and serving and something like that was like applicable to their life. And then we all ate steak together. And like that was my
Dude,
that
That's
was
really
my,
cool,
That
man.
was my
That's
kind
really
of like,
cool.
like quote unquote manhood event.
Yeah.
But yeah, but society doesn't really have anything like that
No.
anymore.
They
Yeah.
don't. What were
And
you
so
gonna say?
Well, I'm like the way I think about it is like if you are like a family of like I don't know 4 in like the middle of Austin or like the suburbs, and like you don't have like just like open land or like things I don't know like what do you do
yeah.
to like give your son
I mean,
like, a
I
moment
don't
like that?
know.
I'm sure like there's ways to be creative.
Yeah, you can
Um,
always get creative. I mean, I
but-
feel like I always err on the nature side of it. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
I think like, I don't know, the pure, like undeveloped nature is like in some ways like a very pure representation of God, and I think that like you
I
can
agree with you on
feel
that. Yeah.
you can feel that when you're in the middle of it, and you can always drive somewhere out to nature.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, but like that's a good way to do it. But
Just take like a weekend camping trip.
you can get
and,
creative
like,
with it. But imagine like
yeah.
if the whole next generation, like if all the guys had a moment where it's like that's when I became a man. Like perspectively, that would do something
It would
to
do-
the
it would-
mentality of a
yeah.
generation.
That
It
would
would be massive.
Yeah.
I think it'd be a different country, dude.
But the other issue too is that you have, you know, boys who are being raised by boys right now too.
True.
You know,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
you know, and I mean, families don't stay together anymore, and there's a whole epidemic of problems. But
Honestly, bro, I feel like second floor was the first time I ever experienced something like that.
Like what? Like
Like an initiation.
I mean, yeah.
Like something
Yeah.
that made me
It sounds like you're
feel
talking about
like
hazing.
it made me feel
Yeah.
like
There's a lot of hazing, dude. Yeah.
something that made me feel like I was here. I did this thing that's recognized by the group, and then I
Yeah.
made it through, and now the group recognizes that. That was the first time I ever experienced that sort of like dynamic.
But that's even
Mm.
just like a communal thing too. People don't even have communal experiences anymore because
Exactly.
everyone's lonely and isolated.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like
It's true.
this dawned on me the first time when I left Baylor, because like, I had an amazing community experience at Baylor. When I left Baylor and started at my job right now, it was really eye-opening to see how people made friends. Because people our age struggle making friends, and there's a lot of reasons for that.
Yeah.
But when you're, when you aren't actively involved in a church or something like that, you're a young 20-year-old college postgrad, the way that you meet people is primarily at the bar. And when you think about that's the environment that you're putting yourself in to try to find community, you could probably make the claim that maybe that's not the highest quality community that
Yeah.
exists from like a quality spectrum, if you will. And then people wonder why their relationships don't last and aren't meaningful.
Right.
And that's what's like I very strongly believe like the church is God's vehicle for community. And I think that's biblical, and I think that the people who are actively living and engaging and walking in that don't have the same struggles of isolation that maybe someone does who isn't walking in that. Now, you can always feel pulled in towards isolation, and you can choose how you respond to that.
Yeah.
But I think that when you plug into the church, like that's literally God's answer for community.
I would 1000% agree, dude. I remember like at jobs, dude, like when I would like this warehouse I worked at for a while, I remember this girl like telling me, we had like a deep conversation. She was like, yeah, like I don't have like best friends anymore.
Yeah.
I just like don't
Yeah.
like care to let anyone that close anymore. I'm just like, that's so sad, dude. Like, you know how many best friends I have? Like I feel like I have, you know? And
But
it's
that's
like
rare.
okay.
Most people don't have that. Like that's rare.
Yeah, right, yeah. Yeah.
Which is sad because it shouldn't be.
Yeah,
I think so.
agree,
I
yeah.
think social media is a
Yeah.
lot to blame.
But
for
I think what you said too, like earlier on, is another like layer to this whole thing. Is like when you graduate college, it's like everyone just expects you to like, okay, now it's time to be a grown up, and like you forget about all those good times.
Yeah.
But it's like, why can't I like carry that energy into like my grown up life?
Yeah, and there's no reason you can't.
Exactly.
But
right. Yeah.
But
yeah.
everyone pursues like the corporate thing so hard that they all move to different places, and then they don't have a way to meet high quality people.
Yeah.
And then
yeah.
they end up, working, not having a lot of community, and
Yes.
then
But,
wondering why life is hard.
oftentimes work becomes your community, really.
Yes, which
but-
isn't a bad thing by
Not
default.
always, yeah,
Which isn't a
yeah.
bad thing by default.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's also it's good to have community outside of work too.
Yes.
But it's also like it's hard to meet high quality young people in a lot of
Dude, yeah.
ways,
Where do you
know?
go other than a bar or a club?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I don't know where you would do it. Like you could try to join like a sports league or something like that.
Yeah.
Get lucky.
You could do that kind of a thing. But like, I don't know. But then it begs the question too, like on the Christian side of things, it's like, okay, we have this amazing vehicle that God's designed for high quality community, and we can all plug into that. But how do we bring it outside of that? Because we're also
Exactly,
not
yeah.
supposed to
That's
just
the
like
struggle.
that's the hard thing, Like how do you
It's a
how do you
balance.
invite people into that? Because the people who experience that, they get it. Like if they experience that in an authentic kind of way, it's like it's eye opening. It's life changing to them.
Yeah.
But
It is. It really is.
you but like it's our job to go out and invite people into that, and that's hard too.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, that was like that was really like the whole vision behind our like cafe idea. Was like our dream was like to create a place where people could come and just have no really like no like social pressures or like expectations or whatever, just like a place where you can literally just hang out. And even with like a speakeasy on the second floor, like a little nightlife where like that's something we always talk about here in Round Rock. is like everything closes at like 9. You know, like you can't go and hang out like on a Friday night super late,
Yeah.
like anywhere other than a bar or
Yeah.
like a club
Yeah.
or something, you know? So it's like, it just sucks.
Yeah. We would go, I mean, in college, we had all sorts of things that we would like go explore in Waco. But it's also different now because like now that we're like actually full grown adults and have responsibilities, like that's trespassing and you could like get in trouble.
Dude,
But we
Waco.
would, bro, Waco is so
he,
fun.
He like, you know, we
Waco-
went to the Sheraton.
Yeah.
Him and his friends did a lot of stuff like that.
I
too.
bet there's a lot.
We had this thing freshman year. It was primarily, so one of my best friends right now, his name is Chance, and like freshman year he was the voice of reason, and then there was me and my friend Annie, and we did this thing that we called Adventure Tuesdays. So like no matter what, Tuesday night we always went on an adventure, and we would invite like the whole floor with us, and most of the time our idea would be so crazy that it would be like me, Annie, and maybe Chance. But like we would climb billboards on the side of the highway and like go sit on like the like the real tall ones that are advertising for Baylor or whatever.
Yeah.
I think after we did that, because I think we posted a few pictures up there, like Baylor covered all the ladders so that you couldn't climb them anymore.
Okay, yeah.
And there was an abandoned bank. We would do a lot of this too with our small group. So I was in a small group freshman year that split into, our church was like really, really good at multiplication, which was super cool. But I was in a small group freshman year that the leaders of it felt like the Lord asked them to split it into 5. So that split into 5, and I led one with my friend Victoria sophomore year. And then my whole best friend group came out of the dudes who ended up joining that small group.
Dang, that's pretty cool.
But like for small group activities, like we would go explore abandoned buildings all the time. We'd invite our whole small group, and
I
like
feel like
that's what-
Waco is a
that's what
perfect
we would
place
do.
for that.
I
dude.
literally at one point, like a cop pulled up to us because we were on like some dude's farm and like weren't supposed to be there. And I was like, "Oh yeah, sorry, like we were having small group," and he looked at me like I was so dumb. And I just,
Dude, I bet.
small group.
Bro,
He's
cops
like,
get
he was
so
just, he was just,
mad,
he was
dude.
just like, he was like, "Get out of here."
Yeah.
I was like, "Yes, sir."
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I always joked with our college pastor that like we were gonna get in trouble, and
We actually had
He's got to bail
a
us
similar
out.
situation. We went to an abandoned silo, and we had been there a couple times.
oh,
And
bro,
it was on this like person's property, so you kind of had to like sneak through their farm, and like there's like freaking cows around and everything, and like big open field, and like you get in the silo. It was cool. There's like a bunch of, there's like a bunch of like random equipment from the 1800s.
Yeah.
and, like farm
there's cool
equipment and
things
stuff.
to explore,
Dude. Yeah.
It's like that's so much better than going to a bar on a Friday.
So-
night.
Oh my gosh.
And our thing is always
I will
like,
never
we were-
forget that, dude.
Yeah.
I'll never forget that.
we were always like, we don't need alcohol to have fun. Like, we
Yeah.
can,
But I mean, on our way out, these cops like saw our cars, or this cop, I should say, saw our cars like parked on the side of the road or whatever, and they were like so mad at us, like, get out of here or whatever. We're just like, all right, dude, sorry.
Whoopsie.
Yeah.
yeah.
I haven't. The only thing I've really done in Waco is BSR.
Oh yeah,
the cable
BSR
park.
is
Yeah. The slides.
yeah.
Place is pretty fun.
BSR is cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, Waco has a lot of cool spots to explore. We did like one of those big silo like smokestack things.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
At one point, and my buddy was like halfway up it, and there were like 1 million pigeons inside, but it was pitch black, so we had no idea. Like, we were feeling it.
Dude.
But
Oh,
they all went out at the
no.
same time, and he freaked out. And then we at that same place, there was an abandoned water tower that you could go inside. So we were like
Dude, that would be
inside the
sick.
bowl of the water tower, but there was like no water in it.
That's
Uh,
wild.
And we had to hike through the woods to get there, and I got the worst poison ivy of my entire life. It wasn't even poison ivy. Like I had to go to the ER about a week into it, and the doctor was like, "I've never seen anything like this. We're gonna give you a steroid shot and like good luck." Basically,
Holy crap.
I had to wrap my whole legs in gauze and wear sweatpants, even though it was 100 degrees outside, because I would soak through it. Like my skin was like oozing everywhere.
Oh,
It was. I had scars from it for like a year.
That
was-
sounds
that
awful.
sounds
It
awful,
was bad.
dude.
It was
Oh
bad.
my
But good
gosh.
memories. Like we have good memories of the water tower.
Yeah.
Worth it.
Yeah.
But it was a rough few weeks.
Dang, bro.
But yeah, but that's what our college primarily looked like.
I love that,
It was,
dude.
it was a
Love that.
blast.
Well, Caleb, I appreciate you coming on, man.
Yeah,
Thanks
dude.
for sharing your story and just coming and hanging out on a freaking Wednesday night. You know?
Can't believe it's only Wednesday.
I know.
Yeah.
I can't believe it's already Wednesday.
Our wives are downstairs probably Wonder where we're at. And I'm super tired.
Laughing at us talking about testosterone.
Honestly, probably, yeah. But anything else you want to say before we close it out?
Final parting words. I mean, we were just talking about this, but like, I feel like initiation's really cool. Like, a lot of people our age struggle with community. And I feel like I had to get to this point where like I just expected no one else to initiate with me. And when you can get to that point, like you're not offended when no one does. And then you just start doing it with other people. And I think that that's really contagious. And I remember, like, as we were praying over that small group that we were leading sophomore year, like our main prayer for that group was that other people would initiate, so that it wasn't just like us as leaders doing it, but that everyone would become friends. And it was really cool to see the Lord answer that, because, you know, here I am and I'm in all those dudes' weddings and they were all in my wedding, and like, you know, we'll be lifelong friends. And so, you know, for all the people out there who need some community, like, just invite someone over for dinner, initiate. And do it 10 times before you ever expect them to do it. And it'll work out.
That's it,
Dude,
right
I
there.
think it's a fantastic.
Not everything's
point,
50-50. And your expectations determine your experiences. And so if you expect it to be 50-50, you'll be disappointed when it's not. If you expect that you'll just have to put in all the work every time, 1 out of 10 people will pleasantly surprise you by initiating and
Your
reciprocally.
expectations.
I remember like going to a
experience.
networking group a little while back, and like talking to, it was like for the business or whatever, and someone was like, they were telling me like, you know, if you come to a place like this and you don't meet anybody, it's your fault.
Yeah.
And I think that's like, I think it's just a good perspective to have like on life in general and like meeting people. Like, yeah, sometimes it's hard to make friends, but like you can still, it's possible if you try.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I feel it was cool because, like, you know, Allie and I invited you and your wife over for dinner. We never expected you to invite us over back. But then when y'all did, we were like, okay, this could work. You know what I mean? Like, you just kind of, you got to initiate with everyone. And then eventually you'll find someone who reciprocates. And if you can find that person, hold on tight to them.
Very true. No, I really admire your intentionality and your persistence and towards community, because I feel the same way. I think it is rare, sadly. But I think that it can also be multiplied. I think it can be changed for the better.
For sure.
So,
And if you're a young adult in Georgetown, come hang out with us.
yeah, that's what we're really trying to say. That's what we're really trying to say. Well, thanks for listening, and we will catch you on the next episode of the Second Floor Experience podcast. Peace.
I want to talk to you. Not now, later. No, now.